I'm going a bit stir crazy with this whole quarantine thing. It's not something I'm used to. I actually like to go out and go to restaurants, go to bars, go play Magic face to face with people, and it's becoming quite challenging now. But it makes me think about how I first started even playing Magic the Gathering, the first time I even seen Magic the Gathering cards. And this is a story about when I was young. I was about 12 years old, and it was the summer. And a neighbor on my street actually got me into it. At this time, I was really obsessed with Pokemon cards. I had a massive collection of cards, and I was very happy just looking through binders of them, not even knowing how to play. I didn't play Pokemon, I just collected it. And my friend was really into Magic the Gathering. He told me about this game, Magic the Gathering. I had no idea about it, but he did let me know that the same people who made that game also made Pokemon. And just showing me the cards, I started going through them. And the art was just, it caught my attention right off the get-go. As soon as I saw the artwork, just the beautiful, like goblins, the paint, the colors, the vibrancy, it just popped right off of the card. And it kind of made me think of Pokemon in a different light after that. I remember just looking at my cards, and as much as I enjoyed looking at them, but I realized I was just looking at them. I wasn't even playing. And my friend Tim would always tell me that Magic the Gathering was just such a fun game to play, and he'd go to the comic book store called Treasure Trove down the street from where we lived, and he would go play, and they'd have Friday night tournaments. This is the first time I've ever heard of anything like this. I knew there was Pokemon tournaments back in the day, but I never played Pokemon, so I never participated in any of them. So I never got into Magic, but I just remember liking his cards, just looking at the art. Until one day in the summer, he came over with two long boxes full of cards, and he said, "Hey, check these out. Let me know if you like them." So I said, "Okay." So I flip open the lid. I start going through the cards. I start looking at the colors. I'm like, okay, this is the blue mana. These cards look amazing. I like the red. I like the goblins. Oh, look at all the death and like destruction. Look at all the skeletons and the black. Every single color had a certain theme, a certain flavor. So I kept digging deeper and deeper, and I started falling in love with the cards. And then I asked him why. Why did you bring these over? And he told me that I can have them. And at that moment, I was in shock. I couldn't believe that he would just give me these cards. Like, these are your cards you paid for. You played, and you've spent so much of your money and time to get these. And that was when I realized at that time that Magic the Gathering is a very different game than Pokemon. And it was much more about playing than collecting, especially at this time, because this was 1999. So at this time there was some collectors, but it wasn't really all about collecting for the value, and like there wasn't really MTG finance around, so it was more just about people who wanted to play and have fun. So I kept the long boxes, and I was very happy about that. I kept them, and I had them underneath my bed. That's where they were. I never ended up really getting to play them, because a week after I got them, one day when I was at school, I came home, I went underneath the bed because I wanted to go and look at the art again and flip through the cards, and I realized, after looking around, there was no long boxes to be seen. So I'm like, did I put it in the closet? I opened the closet. Nothing. I looked for my Pokemon cards, which were thankfully still there. But they were there, and the Magic cards simply were not. So I waited, and then my mom finally got home, and I asked her, "Have you seen these two long boxes for cards? Like long boxes for hockey cards?" Because she wouldn't know anything about Magic, so maybe she'd think that these were long boxes of hockey cards, threw them out, or maybe she just put them somewhere else. But after I asked her, to my despair, she let me know those things are going to bring demons in the house. Aww. I don't want you practicing magic here. At that moment, my heart sank when I realized not only was my mom batshit insane, but she did, in fact, throw out my magic card collection. So I asked her, "Where did you put it?" She said, "Don't worry about it." I said, "But where is it? In the garbage?" Because I wanted to go outside and check the garbage. She said, "Don't worry about it, it's not there." So I went back out in the shed, looked through all the chairs, everything, pulled back all the tarp from the lawn chairs, looked under everything, nothing. I went through the basement, nothing. So I kept asking her every month, "Do you know where those cards are?" Same response, "Don't worry about it." Until finally I forgot about those cards. And then years later, when Pokemon's fallen out of favor and I stopped playing Magic the Gathering cards, well, I never really got into it, but I didn't have my Magic cards, didn't care. I went through my Yu-Gi-Oh phase, I went through another Pokemon phase, and then when I was about 21 years old, a friend of mine invited me over for board game night. So I accepted, and we played some Risk. And after the game was finished, he brought out a deck, and he opened it up, and he said, "Do you know Magic the Gathering?" And I said, "Yeah." All these memories kind of came back, and I started to remember all the cards that I've seen, and that stack of cards in that long box that I had. So he asked me, "Would you like to play?" "Sure," I replied. So he shows me his collection. He has all these binders, and he had all these decks, and they're Ultra Pro deck box. I remember clearly the label on them, deck box, and they were all simple colors: white, black, blue, red, green. So he asked me which deck I wanted to play, and I just remember specifically the red cards were vibrant. I just liked the look of them, so I said, "Do you have like a mono red, like a singular red color deck?" And he says, "Sure." So we sit down, he teaches me how to play, and then I instantly fell in love with Magic the Gathering, and to this day I still play, and I've been collecting ever since. But I remember a month after of playing with him on his tabletop casually, I thought it was time that maybe I should buy some of my own cards, since I felt a little like a mooch, always going to his place, never having my own deck, always having to borrow one of his. So he's like, "You know what, let's go to the store, and you can pick up something at the game store." So we go there, and as I go into the game store, I look around, and I see obviously the board games, and I see the Pokemon, and I see Magic the Gathering, a big sign, and a lot of sealed product. But then there was also a glass display of cards. So I go over to the glass display, and I start looking at the cards. Some don't look familiar at all. Some are very expensive, and I was in shock at some of the prices. But then I look. Then I start seeing cards that I remembered seeing in that long box. Wheel of Fortune. That was weird. I see these lands. Badlands. Underground Sea. I was like, I've seen that before. I had that. So I keep looking. I see all these cards, these rubies, Mox Ruby. And then I have a sinking feeling like I've never felt ever before in my life, when I realized then and there that the collection of cards that I was given by a friend on that fateful day when I was 12 in 1999 was worth thousands of dollars. And then I realized, now 10 years later from that event of getting back into the game, that the cards that I had could have potentially bought me a house. But I didn't know anything about the value at that time. I did like the art, and my mom threw out that collection. So, but it's never too late to get those cards back. And to this day, I don't have all of them, but I'm slowly working on that. And I just wanted to share this story since I'm in quarantine right now, and I've been getting pretty bored, and I've just been going over a lot of things in my head, and I just thought maybe that story would be something that you could relate to, or maybe you'd enjoy it and get some value out of it as well. So let me know in the comments, what's the craziest Magic the Gathering story you have, and I'll be sure to read it. And please, again, stay safe, practice your social distancing, and I will see you again in another video real soon.